So, have you left it too late to really make something of your music? And if you've been at making music for a long time and getting nowhere, can you really turn it around? So the reason I'm doing this Facebook Live is these are questions that I get a lot, typically from people in their 30s, people in their 40s. I'm 40 years old, so I can completely relate. And they've been doing music for a while and they wish that they had done more earlier, and they're wondering if they've blown it. Is there still a chance to really make something of their music? So I wanted to jump on because I have a lot of these conversations. I have some perspectives to share that hopefully will empower people who might have these sort of thoughts rattling around inside their head. In case we haven't met yet, I'm Keith Mills, founder of Quantize Courses and the Finish More Music System. And as I say, this is kind of one of these subjects that I think is really difficult for people because it's something that can really eat at you. You've got these two nagging voices that are going on in your head, and on the one hand, one is kind of saying, oh, you know, I haven't got enough time. I haven't got enough time to get this done, and I've been doing this for a long time. Let me just change this tune up. Better. There we go, a bit darker. So yeah, you've got these two voices that are kind of going at you, and one is saying, I haven't got enough time. I've kind of left this too late. I don't have enough time. And even if I did have the time, I've spent ages and I've got absolutely nowhere. So it's just never going to happen. But then the other voice is, of course, saying, no, music is my passion. I really want to do this. And if I get, if I get so far into my life and I look back and I haven't given this a good go, I'm going to be really disappointed with myself. And the two voices go at each other full on. And the end result is normally like this cancellation of just not getting in the studio and not really going for it. And I think it's you have this, what's the point? What's the point of getting in the studio? I'm not getting anywhere and I'm running out of time anyway. And I think that's a pretty tricky place to find yourself in. So I want to talk about that. I want to talk about a few different perspectives. I'm going to approach this in two different parts. The first one is how old is too old? And the second part is how long can you reasonably expect it to take in order to, when you turn things around, if you change things, how long can you reasonably expect it to take before you start seeing results? So we're going to look at those two sides. I'm worried that I don't have enough time, and I'm worried that I've spent too much time not getting anywhere, that even if I did have time I wouldn't be able to make it. Does that make sense? So I can see we've got a few people who've jumped on. What I'm really keen to find out, guys, because this is mainly an age driven one, how old is everybody who's watching this? Stick it in, give me an idea. So as I've said, I've turned 40 this year, and this is a question that comes at me a lot. I get asked this loads by people I mentor, by people who I just speak to, who think 30s and 40s is kind of panic stations. As I said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to tackle this in two different parts tonight. So the first one is how old is too old, and then we'll also look at the idea of how long can you reasonably expect it to take if you've been getting absolutely nowhere to getting somewhere. And that is if you make a change. If you make a change in the strategy that you're taking, if you make a change in your mindset, and at that moment, how long can we expect it to take? Because you've probably heard this thing, if you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you always got. Something has to change, but when it does, how long do we think it will take to actually get somewhere? So let's start off with how old is too old. And I'm going to give you a story that happened to me this year, and it's really changed my perspective on this. So this year, as I said, I turned 40 years old. Now, when I was 39, on my 39th birthday, I was like, oh, 40, that's kind of a landmark age. What I am going to do is I'm going to make sure on my 40th birthday, I'm in the best shape of my life. I'm helping more people with their music than ever. Everything's going to be amazing with my family. I'm going to be more spiritually in connect with what my purpose is, what I want to achieve in my life. Like every single department of my life is going to be the best ever when I hit 40, because I don't want it to be one of those ages where it's like, oh Christ, I've hit a landmark here and life's not going well. So fast forward, hit 40, and sure enough, everything was on point. Hit every single goal that I wanted to hit, and it was fantastic. And I turned to my wife, Mrs. M, and I said, you know what? I feel really good about this. The next decade of my life is going to be the best decade ever. And I kind of put that cap in there, 50. You know, whatever I'm going to get done in my life, it needs to be done by 50. That's kind of the cut-off point. Now, I don't know where that came from, but that is what was in my head. But I felt really empowered. 10 years, I can achieve a lot. Look what I've just done in a year. So we then went away. We went on quite a long trip away. We went to Australia, New Zealand. It was amazing. And whilst we were away, I met a guy called Nelson. Now, I'd pegged Nelson as perhaps in his mid-50s. And I saw him in the gym that we were at, and he was lifting heavy weights, and he was totally ripped, like completely ripped, this guy. Super strong, like amazing tan. Was talking to everyone, was the life and soul of the party. If he was out by the pool, he was dancing, leading things. If there was a lesson, if there was someone teaching something, he was there. He was reading books. The most personable, incredible person. Really, really inspiring. And then one day in the gym, I got talking to Nelson, and it turned out that Nelson was actually 70. 70 years old. And he said to me, because I was like, wow, you know, that's incredible. And he asked me, I said, I'm 40. And he said, oh, you're a baby. He said, you're a baby. What you can achieve in the next 30 years is incredible. He said, trust me, believe me, in the next 30 years. And in that moment, everything kind of lifted. I'd built this invisible cap on what I would be able to possibly achieve by when. And 10 years became 30, became a lifetime. And I look at what I've achieved up to this stage in my life. And, you know, when I was a teenager and when I was like in my early 20s, personally, just speaking for myself, I was a bit of a plonker. You know, all of that time was great and I had a lot of fun. But knowing what I know now at 40 and what I knew when I was, you know, 30, 35, wow, a lot can be achieved. So if we look at this idea of how old is too old, for everyone who contacts me and you're in your 30s and 40s and think you might be running out of time, you're not. When you think about it, everybody's living longer. We're living longer in an optimal state in our lives. We have so much available to us now that people didn't used to have, that actually you've got a massive portion. You've got a lifetime. You've got a lifetime. And that's how I feel. I have got a lifetime in front of me now, and a really a huge opportunity in front of me. So I hope that anybody who's kind of thinking, oh, you know, I'm getting a bit old to pursue a passion, a dream. Obviously, we're talking about music, but there are other things in life as well. You know, sure, probably not going to be scoring the winning goal in the FA Cup final for your football team, or if you're in the US scoring a touchdown or whatever it might be. But most things in your life, you can still go and get it, you know? So that's kind of part one, how old is too old. And then the next thing I'm going to talk about is if you've got in your head that, okay, I haven't got much time left, I'm getting too old, but also you're worrying because you've spent a long time doing music and you're not seeing any results, you're not getting anywhere with it, and those two things compound into like a real negative influence in your mind that stops you taking action. But before I move on to sort of cover that second part, and I've got a bunch of you guys on, I can see a lot of kind of 30s and 40s going on. What I'm talking about, does this resonate with you? What are your thoughts on this? I'd love to hear back from you guys, and if the Nelson story was something that resonated with you, because it hit me hard, I mean, it was a real wake up, a massively inspiring wake up, then stick some thumbs up on as well. Let me know that you're enjoying the session. Give me a chance to grab a drink of water and just quickly crank the tune. So this is one of our mixtape challenges in FMM, some banging tracks that the members have made. So I'll quickly turn these up whilst I have a drink and wait for you to comment. Loving all the thumbs up that you're firing across, guys. Keep them coming. Sean looking good at 40. Loving you, Sean. You're welcome on all the time. Sylvia, now to motivate us. You know, these are all 100% true things. And as I say, I have this conversation with a lot of people who are in their 30s and 40s, and they think, you know, I've spent a long time not getting anywhere with my music. You know, have I blown it, basically? So no, you've got time. There is time there, but as I said, if you always do what you always did, you'll always get what you always got. So there needs to be a change of strategy. There needs to be often like a few switches that go in the mindset and a change of strategy. So the question then becomes, well, that's all well and good, but if I've spent this long getting nowhere, and even if I change the strategy, how quickly can I see results? So let me, I'm going to actually scribble on a bit of paper for you and do a bit of a graph here, a graph even. Now this might appear back to front for you guys, but you'll get an idea of it, right? So here's the graph. Now up the side here on our vertical axis, this is skill set, okay? And along the bottom on the horizontal axis, this is time. So this is where we start when we are practicing a new skill. And at the beginning, we see this rapid growth in results, in improvements in what we're doing, in results. But here is the deal. When we're talking about making music, right? And I said we see these results, okay, when we are taking action, that practice is finishing tracks. So it's not just writing loops, it's not reading magazine articles, watching tutorials, it's not buying gear or watching people talk about gear, it's not practicing compression and things like that. When we first start, that explosion in growth comes from finishing music. Now, there will be a lot of people who will be saying, well, yeah, but I know you're saying I'm down there, but I've been doing music for a long time and I've learned a lot of stuff. I've picked up a lot of things. And sure, in that time, I bet you've probably forgotten more than you've learned if you're somebody who isn't finishing music and, as I said, you're not seeing the results. But what you have to remember is all of that knowledge, whatever you might have at that starting point, that is just latent potential. It's not real. It only becomes real when you finish music. And so you might have this like potential exploding ready to go inside of you, but until you master the art of finishing tracks, you're not going to see that massive explosion in growth. So there's the good news. At the start of the journey, if you start finishing a lot of tracks, you're going to quickly ramp up and see really good results. And so there is the question. In that period of time there where we see that rapid explosion sort of between there and there, what kind of results can we expect to see? Well, obviously it's different for everyone, but I think one of the ways to give yourself belief and really empower yourself is to see other people doing it and to be around other people who are doing it. So if I give you some examples, we've recently on the page, we've been releasing interviews where people that I work with have been talking about their journeys. They've been talking about where they started from and where they are now. And if you're after this video, you check those out because they're so inspiring. They're really motivational. You know, that's why we're sharing these stories. You'll go down and you'll find a guy called Doug who produces under Las Von, and he's a wicked producer. He's like really, really good. So he started from zero, hadn't finished a track at all, and in 1 year finished 55 tracks and got 15 releases. So think of that, zero in just 1 year to 55 finished tracks and 15 releases. And then I think it is tomorrow, Paul's case study. No? Next week maybe. I thought it was tomorrow. I'm not the person who's in charge of these things. Next week we'll be dropping a case study from a guy called Paul Hooper, Hoopski, again, another amazing producer. From 0 to 21 releases in 1 year. Okay? Now, it may be that you don't hit those heights, okay? But what if you got half of that? What if you even just got a quarter of that, right? Think about that. You'd still be releasing a tune, every couple of months you'd have a track out. If you have the right strategy, if you change things, if you take the right approach, and often just a couple of, it's literally like flicking a switch in mindset, you can get that rapid growth. I'll give you another example. Next week, sorry, let me turn this down. Various tunes at different volumes. Next week, I'm releasing the best free training I've ever done by far. So it's coming out on Wednesday, the 31st. If you haven't signed up for it yet and you want to get involved in this, it's www.finishmoremusic.com. And it's a training series. It's literally open for like a week, a few days. So you want to jump on it, get involved straight away. And when we last launched that, when we last released it, we had a guy who's on here now. I don't know if he's still with us, Vega, and he finished the track during those few days, and now he's another great example. In a year, he is hammering out tunes. He's had several top 10s in Beatport in the techno charts. He's had the #1 spot in there as well. But in literally those few days, he finished the track and he was struggling. Then another guy, James Thompson, was amazing. He literally was messaging, going, "I've finished a tune, I've finished another," and by the end of it, he'd finished 3 tracks. So this explosion of potential that you've got is very real. Watch these things, see them, check these people out, because it absolutely can be real for you. And I think the thing to remember, one of my favourite quotes is, it's Henry Ford, isn't it, who said, "Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right." So you've got to foster that belief. You've got to look at this and go, actually, you know what? I have got the years left in me. Look at what people can achieve in this space of time. It's incredible. And yeah, okay, all right, things I've been doing haven't worked up to now, but there is the knowledge out there. There's the stuff I need to turn it around, and then I can see this explosion in growth over a short period of time. You know, so it is totally possible. So for everyone who's kind of reached out to me, and I've had this conversation with lots of people, I hope that sort of putting it out and sharing it with you guys is helping a few people as well. And I just say, believe in yourself, because these stories of people you see, if they can do it, you can do it. There's nothing with the greatest of respect about them that is exceptional. They're exactly the same as you. And when you see other people doing it, and when you're around other people doing it, it gives you the belief you can do it, and you can absolutely take it on. I think I saw Shin on there saying age is just a number, and that is totally right. And particularly in music, when nobody is being asked to do like crazy ass assault courses and running 3 marathons in a row. It's music. You can put your mind to it, and you've got a good chunk of time to get this done. So let me say hello to a few people. Mrs. M, can I grab that? Because here I'm like E.T. fingering it and it all goes wrong. Guys, give me a thumbs up if you like that, if that resonated with you, if you felt that session was of use. So again, if you've just kind of joined, what we've been talking about is this idea of how old is too old to still take your music seriously. And if you've been static, you've been procrastinating, you're not getting the results you want for a long period of time, does that mean you're going to stay at that level and you've blown it and you're not going to get anywhere? So that's what we've been talking about. If that resonates with you, whack the thumbs up on there. Let me see. I can see it on this phone flying up the screen. Awesome stuff. And let's say hello to a few people. First up, thank you massively for joining me. I can see all the ages are dropping in. We've got a lot of the sort of mid-20s. Oh, we got Simonas in there, 23, you lucky devil. All the way through, 35s, 40s, Jason, 47 there. Shin saying Vega's hammering out tunes consistently. He really is. Let's have a... Right, brilliant. So another question I've got before I dive off. Out of the people here, have you signed up for the free 4-part Finish More Music workshop? So it's next week's, completely free. As I say, best free training I've ever written. I've sort of spoken to you about a number of people who've taken that free training over a short period of time. I'm really keen to know, if this is resonating with you guys. Have you jumped over and signed up for it? So literally you sign up, we'll drop you an email as soon as it is out. It's next week. And then you can go through it. It's 4 videos, and it comes with blueprints, roadmaps, downloadable PDFs, things for you to follow along with. And I dive in, be talking to you in the comments and everything there. So it is a proper training workshop, you know. So Pedro's waiting for next week. Sean signed up, love it. Sebastian as well. Tony Burgess signed up with the bomb and the explosion. Good man. Yeah, really, I'm really pumped and excited to share it with you guys. As I say, it was a labour of love, and it's by far the best thing, and not just the best thing I've made, the most effective thing as well by a long way. So really excited to share it with you guys. Alex as well signed up, taking full advantage of it. Legend, absolutely love it. Okay, so I think that's me for this evening, guys. Thank you very much for joining me. Again, let's see your thumbs up if you enjoyed it. The more feedback I get from you, you know, if you're loving it, I'll jump on more. We'll talk about more things together as well. And also, if you know anybody who's hitting walls with their music, who they're really passionate about it, but they're not getting the results they want, share this as well. If you share this, then they'll get to see this, they'll get to benefit, they'll get to, you know, that mindset change as well. Because sometimes it just takes that one moment, that one thing that makes you go, yes, you've experienced it, I'm sure, in a lot of things in your life. And then that all changes up. And obviously, if they join the workshop as well, that's going to hit home. The results speak for themselves. So anyway, thank you very much. Jason, looking forward to it as well. Brilliant stuff, guys. Peace out. Have a fantastic evening. And thanks again for jumping in. Shin never misses a beat. Vega, thanks for jumping on as well, fella. Good to see you guys. Everyone, take care, and I'll speak to you soon. Happy music making.